topic title for today, keeping contention out of your life. Look, relationships are what really matters in life. And our relationship to God, our spouse, or our significant other, if we have one, your children, extended family members and friends, they are what matters most. And if we're not careful, we can allow something or somebody to literally drive away the people that are most precious to us. And so we've got to learn how to keep strife out of our lives, because too often, if somebody doesn't agree with our opinion, or let's say that they don't see eye to eye with us on some matter, we get all upset. And I know this person because I've had this experience. Just ask my wife, Jamie. So if we allow strife to come into our lives, this is the thing. It takes a lot of patience not to start a dispute over minor issues, or people become easily offended. So if we're going to keep contention out of our lives, we've got to learn how to give people the benefit of the doubt. We've got to overlook some things, because everybody has faults. Everybody's got weaknesses, including me. But if we are putting unrealistic expectations on people, expecting them to be perfect, to not drop the ball, it is not fair to them. And it's going to be a source of frustration to us as well. I actually remember when I first got started in direct sales in 1999, I got frustrated because I thought that everybody should act like I was, completely committed, driven, going to all the meetings, listening to all the audios, reading all the books that they recommended and so forth. And yet I was the one who ended up becoming frustrated in the end. See, we are the ones who are always going to be disappointed, not them. Some people live with this attitude of, I'm going to love you as long as you don't hurt me, or as long as you don't make mistakes and bother me, as long as you treat me right. See, if we're dealing with that right now, maybe even with some of our children, we've got 6 children. They're in school. They're dealing with this very thing right now in their lives. And so as long as you do things my way, then I'm going to accept you. And then I'll be happy. But that's not the way that it works. Because the scriptures teach that love makes allowances for people's weaknesses. Love covers a person's faults. And so you've got to overlook some of those things. Like, quit demanding perfection on your spouse, your significant other, your children, or other people that you're working with. Show them a little mercy, for goodness sake. Like, for real, few things are worse than living with a touchy, overly sensitive person. If somebody offends you or does you wrong, learn to move on. Because love believes the best in people. Love covers a fault. So let's say that there's somebody that does something to you that you don't like. Let's say that they insult you. Let's say that they offend you. You've got to drop your pride and say, I choose to overlook this offense. I'm going to move on. I remember in the past, I'd say, this is something that really kind of was a struggle for me, because I just took offense too often. Like Michael Jordan in the back, I took it personal. But today I try to overlook the offenses, because love keeps no record of wrongs. You might see your relationship with somebody completely increased. It could go to a whole new level if you would just get rid of the record book. Instead of keeping this list of all the offenses and bringing them up, throw out the negative record and look for the good. My wife and I, when we talk about this, there's the appreciation room, there's the depreciation room. We got to spend more time in the appreciation room. As long as you are bringing up the pains from the past, you're going to have strife in the present. Do you want to have it your way? Or do you want to have a healthy relationship? And that's why we strive not to keep a score of the offenses. So I'm the kind of person, I like to keep stuff clean. Maybe you're kind of like me, you're neat, you're tidy, you're just that kind of person. You have to have everything in place. Now, for anyone who's ever come to my office and they have visited, you've probably seen that everything is in order. I like to have things in order. But let's say that you have a husband who is sloppy, tends to leave things laying around the house. You've told him 1,000 times not to leave his shoes in front of the TV. Yet you walk in there every night, sure enough, socks are on the ground. The shoes are out. What do? You go find that person and say, when are you ever going to put away your shoes and socks? I am so tired of cleaning up after you. Anybody guilty of this? Put a 111 inside the chat. Some of you are like, Brandon, I just said this to my spouse like an hour ago. Look, I've been guilty of saying this to my wife. Can we ever just turn all the lights off? I mean, it just seems like the lights are on 24 hours a day. The utility bill is going up. Walking around like I'm some kind of, light Nazi or something. You think that's fun to be around? No, it's not. Just ask my wife. Why don't you be the peacemaker in your family? Why don't you just quietly put away their shoes and go on your way so that you can enjoy the rest of your night? In other words, quit making a big deal out of something that's relatively minor. The issue is not worth allowing strife in your home. And so I've asked my wife over and over and over, not just her, but the kids, to turn off the lights when they leave the room. But guess what? They always seem to forget. And I have to go back in there and I got to do it myself. But instead of harping on them, why don't you just make allowances for their weaknesses, just as they do for yours? It's not going to hurt you to go back in there and turn the lights off. Maybe some of you could use a little bit of exercise and burn a little bit of calories, right? Few calories. Okay, I've since gotten over harping on the family about all the lights. I gave that up last week. No, I'm just kidding. It's actually been about a few years since I've been the light Nazi. Some of you may ask the question, but when are they ever going to change? Here's the answer. Maybe when you quit nagging on them, when you stop complaining, when you develop a better attitude, that's when they're going to change. Maybe they never will change, but are you willing to destroy the peace and the relationship over something so stupid as socks and lights? Look, when you cover a person's weaknesses and you go the extra mile to keep strife and contention out of your home, you are literally sowing a seed to do a work in that other person. You cannot change people. Only God can. I tried. It's a full-time job just trying to change myself. You could harp on that person all day long, but your comments are only going to serve to make matters worse, guys. It's going to bring even more strife. It's going to bring more division. Nothing is going to drive the peace out of your home more than constant criticism. And so we need to adapt. We've got to adjust in order to keep the peace. It doesn't say that other people should adapt and adjust to us. If we're going to have peace, we have to be willing to change ourselves. You can't have this attitude of, well, if my wife would just start doing what I asked her, we'd have peace. If my husband would start picking up his stuff, then we're going to get along. We'll have peace. If my boss would start treating me right, then I would work better. No, we got to make adjustments in order to keep the peace. In other words, you've got to swallow your pride. You got to drop your ego. Maybe just put their shoes away yourself if it bothers you that much. Like, you don't have to announce it to them like, hey, I put away your shoes. I just want to let you know that I picked up your shoes again today, just like I do every dang day. No, just put them away and keep your mouth shut, because you may not realize it, but when you do your part and you keep strife out of your relationships, you are honoring God. When you honor God, He's always going to honor you. When you sow these seeds of mercy, when you sow seeds of kindness, you will begin to see your relationships improve and go to another level. So stop waiting for somebody else to do it. You need to be the peacemaker in your family and in your workplace. Sometimes we allow this strife to build up so much because of the most small, insignificant things. What a travesty. Like, we argue over things that don't even matter. They're just petty things. Don't be so prideful that you always have to prove your point. You've got to swallow your pride, drop your ego, and consider somebody else's opinion. You may think that you're right, but guess what? There may be a chance, even just a little, that you could be wrong. In a house divided, it will not stand. It may not happen overnight. It may not even happen over a couple months or even a few years. But if you allow strife and contention to grow, holding grudges, making sarcastic remarks, you may not realize it, but that relationship is in the process of being destroyed. And unless you decide and make a commitment to do something about it, your life could crumble into a mess. Don't wait until you cannot make amends with someone who's become a stranger to you. You got to do it today. Swallow your pride. Apologize. Even if it wasn't your fault, keep the peace and understand. It is not always about being right. It is about keeping contention out of your life. You can win every single argument, be 100%, but if it opens the door to turmoil, if it brings division, if it tears you apart in the end, you didn't win it all. You may have lost a lot in the process. If you wait for someone else to be the peacemaker in your life, you're going to wait around a whole lifetime, living your life on hold. Peace starts with you. You've got to make the first move. I have to make the first move. If I want my marriage to be better, I got to get better. If I want things to improve, I've got to improve. This is my message for you guys today. Keep contention out of your life. It starts with you. It starts with me. Hope you guys have a fabulous day. Hope you like the message. We'll see you guys on the next episode. Thanks, everyone.